quotes out of that speech. Boldness, courage, leading with principle over politics. I don't know what quote he just said or what he just said, but I said to Julie back there, I said, we've got a Baptist in the audience. She said, why is that? I just heard some of the audience say, that'll preach. So that's good. That is good. The next person I want to introduce is a friend of mine. He and his wife Karen have been married for 23 years and they have 7 kids. One of their children, little Bella, I just got the update, 5 years old and doing great. Before he was in the U.S. Senate, he was a member of the U.S. House. As a matter of fact, many call him one of the great government reformers of his time. Most of us in Iowa know him as some guy who rode in a truck from county to county to county, time and time again, 99 counties. When everybody was kind of counting him out and he didn't have a chance and he didn't have a chance. But we kept hearing, I really like that Rick Santorum. I really like that Rick Santorum. And once you know, on caucus night, he won the Iowa caucuses. And then went on to win 11 other states, 3 million plus voters, a guy that champions our issues. And I was just doing an interview, and I get asked this a lot in interviews about Senator Santorum. And kind of, but do you really think he could be a factor in 2016? Do you really think, I mean, maybe his time has come and gone, all that type of thing. And I said, what I know about Senator Santorum, I would never count him out. Please welcome my friend, Senator Rick Santorum.
Wednesday night, and people have been around me since I had noticed that I have this permanent smile on my face for the last few days. It really has been a joy to be back here and to meet a lot of new friends and to go to a lot of places that I've been before. I was in Rock Rapids and at a grill at Rock Rapids, and I saw my name signed on the wall, and I said, okay, I guess I've been here before. And it's, you know, went to Mars to had, just for old time's sake, went to the Blue Bunny Ice Cream Parlor and to the Pizza Ranch for lunch. So it's just been great to be back and to visit with folks yesterday at the fair. And obviously, we centered our whole trip around trying to be here. And first and foremost, to say thank you, Bob. Thank you to the folks at the Family Leader, and to say thanks to you. Karen and I, when we entered into this race, put our faith in 2 things in this order. Put our faith in God and tried to walk the path that He was laid out before us. And we put our faith in Iowa. And we decided that we would just come and make ourselves available to people here and talk about the issues and give them a chance to sort of get to know me, not through these folks down here, but through the folks sitting across the table with you at the coffee shop. And so I have a lot of faith still in the people of Iowa in 2016 and beyond to use their good judgment and try to do what no other state has the opportunity to do, which is really know the candidates. So I'm back here just to say thank you and to speak into I think, an important issue that we're dealing with in the conservative movement right now. Before I do that, I want to just pick up on what Bob said. We're very, very excited. We're using a young man from Iowa as our contractor. We're putting an addition on our house. Starts this week. We're putting an elevator and a handicap bathroom and a handicap room because Bella's just getting too big for us to carry up and down the steps anymore. And so that's the best and wonderful investment we've ever made. I wanted to come here and I wanted to come to the Family Leader because I couldn't think of a better place to come to talk about what's going on in the national debate within the Republican Party. There's a group of folks, interestingly enough, from those on the right of the Republican Party and joining those on the left of the Republican Party, saying we need to talk about more of one thing and we need to talk about less or not at all about other things. And I want to share with you my thoughts on that. But it is interesting to know that it's moderate Republicans, those based in the big cities, the political experts, the pros that guided us so well through the last election, they're the ones who are saying, and joining with the folks on the far right, who are saying that we just need to talk about economics. We need to talk about jobs and entrepreneurs and business and how we're going to grow this economy. And if you listen to Republican candidates from the last couple of elections, as well as what the rhetoric that's coming out of both of these sides, it celebrates the free market system, which I do, we should. It's the greatest system in the history of the world. It's created enormous wealth and opportunity. And it celebrates heroes of the entrepreneurs, the big businesses who have been successful, and the small entrepreneurs, all well and good. But we're missing something in that message. I talked about it during the campaign all over the country, something that a lot of folks didn't really capture when they said, well, how did he do so well? I mentioned that over two-thirds of Americans don't go to college. Very few of them are going to be entrepreneurs or going to run big companies. And we need to talk to them too. We need to celebrate them. We can't just celebrate the job creators, we have to celebrate the job holders. And we have to have a message for them. On the night of this, I got an opportunity, I thank Governor Romney for the opportunity to speak at the National Convention. It was a night where there were placards on every seat that said, "We built this." If you recall, President Obama's castigated some folks and said that, that business people didn't build their business on their own. And so we seized upon that, rightfully so. But that night, I was backstage and I watched one after another of people of all races and men and women come forward, business people, talk about how they built their business. But not one time did we see someone from the factory floor walk out there and talk about working for the man or woman who built that business and how that helped them and their families. We need to be able to communicate to the folks who hold the jobs and tell them and put a platform together that focuses on them. Because you know what? Not everybody in America is a type A personality that works 80 hours a week to want to build a business and that money is everything to you. A lot of folks want to spend time with their family, work in the community groups, spend time with their church. And we as Republicans believe that's a good thing. But we don't talk about it, and we don't talk to them. So my challenge to the Republican Party is to take a page out of our book and start putting forth an agenda of ideas to raise up folks who want to vote for us. You saw from the last election, they didn't want to vote for President Obama, but at least he went out and talked to them. At least he went out and spoke about them. We didn't do that. We marginalized them. So first and foremost, we need to reject this idea that, well, if we just build the economy, all boats will rise and everybody will be fine. I don't know about you, but most people I know have holes in their boats. And when that tide rises, sometimes they don't rise, sometimes they sink. And we need to talk about people who have holes in their boats because we all do. And we all need help from each other. The second thing is they say we need to talk less about the culture because we're losing. It's a losing issue for us, and therefore we need to talk less. Now, the people that do this are the very same people who never wanted to talk about culture in the first place. And as a result, don't engage as we have it as a party. I'll give you a wonderful example. When I was running for president early on, actually I hadn't even announced, but I went to a breakfast in New York with some of the wealthiest backers of candidates in New York. And I sat down at this breakfast and they grilled me for a half an hour on my moral and cultural positions. And I finally stopped and said, you've had all their candidates up here, as I know you have. Did you ask them the same questions? They said, no. I said, well, why not? Because, they have the same position on these issues, at least they say they do, as I do. And they looked at me and said, you're different. I said, why am I different? They said, because you mean it. When a group of people get up in front of them and talk about things when they don't mean it? How are we going to win this debate if we have people representing us who don't mean it? Who don't have the passion that they have when they talk about the economy or they talk about budgets? We're losing this debate not because of politics, though. Let's be honest about it. Politicians didn't change the culture. The popular culture changed America. And we as conservatives have a responsibility. We as conservatives shouldn't just be involved in the political front. See, this is what the left does better than we do. They live out their beliefs in every aspect of their life. They just don't play politics, but they take politics and their policies into everything that they do. They mean it. They're passionate. There's twice as many conservatives as liberals, and that poll number has been pretty much the same for the last 40 or 50 years. Yet, this country continues to go in their direction. Why? Because they work harder at it. And they understand what moves the country. Aristotle said, give me the storytellers and I will control the nation in a generation. Who tells the stories to your children and to you in America? People like you? You heard Stephen Baldwin out here. People like him do not tell stories in Hollywood. If they do, they're low-budget films or TV shows that never get any attention. And what do we do about it? Nothing. We sit back passively and try to protect our family from it. The average child in America spends 8 hours in front of one of these screens. 8 hours a day, 365 days a year. On average, they spend about 10 minutes a day, on average, talking with their parents or going to church. Who's raising your children? Who's creating the moral imagination for the future of our country? It isn't what was, at one time, for 150 years in this country, the storytellers. The storytellers were the family. The storytellers were the church, civic and community organizations. They imparted the moral imagination. That is no longer the case. And for us to sit here and think that somehow we're going to win the country back politically when the culture continues to show your children when they watch that people like them are weird. People who hold their values are bigoted or hateful. It's no wonder young people overwhelmingly are supporting the other side because they don't know the truth. So here's what I have to say. Here's my challenge to each and every one of you, is to engage. I've set up a couple of organizations that I'm working with, one called Patriot Voices. There's a table in the back. And we're engaged on the political front. We're going to be focused on developing an agenda for the average American out there so we can communicate in terms of the economy that they can understand that free markets and free principles that we believe in are going to help them. And we'll have programs to demonstrate that, particularly the folks who are the 2/3 of Americans who aren't going to college. And secondly, I started a company. I'm the CEO of believe it or not, a movie and production and distribution company based in Dallas, Texas, and we're going to make faith and family films. We're going to make faith and family films, and we're going to hope to give you, the American public, the tools to be able to go out and change the culture. You, the tools to go out and bring people in and to reaffirm their values, to show the truth. You know, for 1900 years, the greatest creators of art were people in and around the church. the great music, the great sculptors, the great painters, all visual arts as well as musical arts, were all in and around the church. But in the last 100 years, the worst art has been coming out of the church. You as Christians, you want to see films, you have to see inferior productions to see something that reaffirms your values. And so I say, as I do in my job now, I say to you, can't we make God beautiful? Yeah. Why can't we tell the true, the good, and the beautiful in a way that's compelling and entertaining and inspiring? So that's my mission. I'm going to stay involved and be involved in politics and to try to shape this debate. But if we're going to be successful, if we're going to be successful as a party, and more importantly, if we're going to be successful as a country, we need to have a revitalized culture. And we need to engage in it. And that's where you come in. The left lives and breathes their values. This administration wants to make sure that that doesn't happen. You already see policies that are being put forward by this administration. They're changing the freedom of religion in this country. In fact, you even see from this administration, particularly internationally, they don't say it as much at home, but internationally, the State Department uses the term not freedom of religion, but freedom of worship. You see, it's okay to be in the four walls of the church and worship, but don't take that religion and faith and practice it outside of the church. There will restrict you. You're seeing it begin to happen already, and it's going to explode. I'll never forget a quote given by the cardinal in Chicago, the Catholic cardinal in Chicago, said this just a couple years ago. He said, "I expect to die in my bed. I expect my successor to die in prison. And I expect his successor to die a martyr." Unless we begin to do what they do, use not the policies. Don't agree with the established Republicans that we have to change our policies to be more like Democrats, but we do need to change our tactics to be more like Democrats. So, what do we have to do? How do we fix this? I always go back to the revolution. How did we win the revolution? Did we have better soldiers as far as equipment, uniforms, leadership? Did we have more resources? Did we have more people? Remember, we were fighting not only the British, but we were fighting the loyalists who were in America, which were a significant number. How did we win the American Revolution being outgunned, outmanned? Because we wanted it more than they did. The left has changed America because they want it more. And we are complacent. We believe that things will just be okay because we're Americans. We believe that things are always going to be okay. But not for such a time as this. This is a time where each and every one of you have to engage. When your business does things that are against your values, don't just sit and take it. They don't. They make it uncomfortable. They make it uncomfortable for their businesses, for their schools, for their community groups, civic organizations. Look at what's going on with the Boy Scouts. Did that come from the majority of people? No. Because they cared enough to fight. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be the generation that lets America slip through and become a descendant not of the American Revolution and God-given rights, but of the French Revolution and government-given rights. The only way to stop it is not just through politics, but it's in every aspect of your being. And so here's my challenge to you. I need you to think about it, and of course, I need you to pray about it. I need you to pray about what God is asking you to do. You're here for a reason, to hear this message. You need to pray about what He wants you to do in every aspect of your life to live what you believe, to live the first principles of America, and to go out and make a difference in our country. We are twice as strong, number-wise, as they are. If we adopt the same passion, the same commitment as the other side does, and put the pressure on Hollywood, support good films, support good television, encourage your children to get involved in the arts. Don't discourage them, encourage them. Go out there and make a stand. Prepare them for when they go to college. Send them to college. And by the way, if you're a contributor to these colleges and universities that pervert the minds of our children, stop giving them money. You need to live it. That's the word. Live it. If you live it, you can say, oh, I'm here in Iowa, what can I do? Well, first off, you are a fairly important state from a political point of view, as you well know. But you're also the heartland. And if a few people gathered in California and New York can change Iowa, tough Hawkeyes can change California and New York right now. So I just want to say thank you again for giving me the opportunity to be able to have our voice heard in the last election. And now it's back on you. Now it's time for you to let our voices be heard and to save America. God bless you. Thank you.